manager directing me on how to proceed on this is that we're going to use the existing Shoreline Master Programs, goals and policies to direct this one right here. Okay? And then what happens is tonight, you guys are going to go ahead and help me out through some simple exercises, identifying segments along Normandy Park that have already been called out in scientific terms as being unique for whatever reasons. They're called out there. I would like to probably see us reduce that down a little bit just for administrative purposes and being able to write goals and policies. They can be somewhat redundant. And maybe when everybody starts looking at this, when we get into the exercise, you guys might see a natural way to make it easier and put that together. So anyway, I need you guys' help with that. And then this group's also going to help with creating the designation for each segment that we've got on our shoreline. What that environment is, the state gives us 6 to pick from, and we can create our own. However, the language, if we create our own, then we have a bunch of problems with making sure that the language meets state definitions, and it becomes a larger process and a lot more work behind it. So I'm trying to use the path of least resistance that still addresses your concerns. So what I've done tonight is I've taken those 6 recommended environments and put them out there for you guys. They're up here on the board, and we've also given you the purpose list here in front that I had Janice pass out. We'll be looking at that in a little bit. And then for each environment that we have, I have to come up with a bunch of uses that you guys enjoy. So if your property is in, let's say the, let's go for Shoreline Residential, that's the easiest. Your property's in Shoreline Residential, what kind of uses do you see on that use chart for Shoreline Residential? Single family homes, accessory dwelling units, or accessory, whatever, buildings, we'll just say that. I don't want to jump into any of that. Docks, do you have docks? Do you want docks there? Do you want to allow them? How do you want to do that? Bulkheads, soft bulkhead, hard bulkhead, no bulkhead. For each environment, we go through and we identify those. This group doesn't have to be completely specific, thank you, tonight. Part of your comments coming back to me are going to be some of this input. There's going to be questions when you go back to your home tonight and you go, oh, I never heard Chad talk about a barn for the float plane next door. What are we going to do? You guys have one here. I don't know if you guys know that. There's a gentleman down on the water that has a float plane. So, and there's a full barn there. It's in the environment. We need to know that that's there, because when I write up these plans, that gentleman has an existing use. I need to put that in there so that in the next 20 years, when he comes in and applies for a permit, oh yeah, we've got that in there. We know it's in our inventory. We've got it there. We've planned for it. And he doesn't have to go through a bunch of hoops. And then whatever he does, we still are meeting our commitment to the state for no net loss. Our program holds up over that length of time. So think about that. Also think about uses that you don't want in an environment. Do people want commercial oyster farming on your aquatic out in the sound? Do you want that? That's something we have to plan for too. Most people don't think about that, but we actually have an area waterward. I think we extend out quite a bit, don't we, Colin?
Yeah, it basically extends out until it hits the county's jurisdiction from Vashon-Montreal, which is across the way.
Okay, so even though your property might not extend out into the water, our community does, and we have to plan for that. They have cable crossings that go from Des Moines all the way over to Vashon. Do we want people coming through our community with cables to provide, cable television to people on the Maury Island? Do we want to allow that? Is that stuff that we want to allow? Do we want to prohibit that in that environment? That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. And it's comprehensive. That's why I need your guys' help really bad in coming up with these things. And then what happens is I'm going to go back, when I get this information from you, I'm going to take what I hear tonight and start, just because it's quite a bit of work. But the stuff that you give me in writing is what I'm really going to use and be solid on. I have to take those uses that you guys come up with and the environment and take your existing Shoreline Master Program objectives and goals that's what's in our comp plan. These are what you guys want in your community for the next 20 or 30 years. They're already there. We don't have to play around with them. That ensures that what you've got right now will continue into the future. So with the uses and stuff, hold on just a second. With the uses and stuff that we will be identifying through this process, I take it through all of those objectives that you guys have in your current community's comp plan. And I go, okay, we meet that. It meets everything in there. We don't have to change anything with the comp plan. We're good to go. Sometimes there might be something that 20 years ago you didn't have, we didn't realize it, and we have to call it out. I might have to go in and tweak language. Anytime I do that, I basically am going to come out with a sheet, and you guys are going to see it for me, and you're going to see an identifier, like a red flag, kind of think of it. I found a goal or an objective in the community that does not match up with the uses that we've identified in the table that we want out of this group right here. Okay, how do you want to solve that? Do you want to change your goals in the comp plan policy to allow that use in the next 20 years? Or would you prefer that we reword it to work in what's existing or take it out altogether? You'll be giving some options, and I'll be asking the group for your input on that. We won't be meeting like this all the time. It's really hard to get everybody in a group, but I want to give you guys as many opportunities for input as possible, and I find it's actually better on these kind of exercises to go ahead and submit them individually. It's more thoughtful. Everybody's not copying off of everybody else because it's just easier that way, and you're actually thinking about on your property, and then I get stuff that somebody might have totally not have even thought about. You know, we have members from the Cove that are also have property on the water as well. They're going to be thinking about their things, and then we've got other people. The Collins sisters live right next door to Marine View Park. They might have issues. They're going to have very specific issues on their property in terms of access. Access is a component of the Shoreline Master Program that we have to talk about. There's a public entity right next to them, if you think about it, and people accessing their property without their permission probably happens, and it's stuff that we need to address. Things that we have to call out when we identify, you know, how do we want to access our shoreline without intruding on their rights of privacy. So these are a lot of stuff that I'm asking for. I've simplified it greatly for this group because it's so big, and I still think it has, what I'm asking for has a huge impact on how this document gets written. What'll happen is once I get everything in, a draft will go out to everybody. Now, what I'll need tonight is I kind of need to know who wants it in paper and who wants it electronically. Because paper, I just don't want to print it up if people would rather have it electronically, but if you do, I know Collins, I know that you like it paper. So I automatically know I'm giving that to you. I have twofers. I have Karen and her husband that only want one copy. But they're both members. They have their own ideas on what they think the shoreline, you know, they each get an equal chance, a shot at it. The Schmitz. Do you want 2 copies so you can make yours? Or, you know, this is the kind of things I want to plan out. I don't want to leave anybody out of the process. I want to make sure everybody's got it in the format that they want it in. Yeah. So the comments and stuff as they're coming back in. Okay, let's go ahead and take your question really quick.
So you're talking about community, that's the residents of Normandy Park, I'm assuming?
So what it is we have what's called a shoreline of statewide significance. So the stakeholders involved in that is the entire state. So you have to think, you guys as property owners and being members of Normandy Park are a stakeholder group. We also have the tribes, they're a stakeholder group. Master builders, because they build in the shoreline environment, are a stakeholder group. You know, just about everything can be a stakeholder. And although they're not participating in this technical advisory committee, they could have if they chose. I asked them to participate.
By our community, are you talking about basically City of Normandy Park or the residents in Normandy Park?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and then you were mentioning the different segments. What are we doing about like a neighboring community that may be affecting certain segments, like the marina to the south of segment 1?
I can talk to that really quick.
Sure.
So when I send out notices on my stakeholder group, Buren is a stakeholder. They get the same information you guys do. They got the same packets. Because there's a planner sitting over there that works on shorelines, and he's supposed to be looking through that and making sure that what I'm proposing is matching up with what they already have. They're already in there. And then Des Moines, same thing. Des Moines is another one. I send everything to them. They have a representative there. If they see a red flag that doesn't match up, they're gonna, hey Chad, in this segment 1 down here, we've got some issues that we're gonna need to discuss. And we talk about it. And then that's where what happens is for all the comments that you guys give me, we're trying to come up with a good way of you guys accessing it on our website. So right now I have a letter from the Schmitz, I have a letter from the Cove. Those letters will be put in sequential order, and then the response below it. That should be posted on the website, so all of you can go on there and see what comments we've received. You'll see how I responded to it, and you can just go through you'll just be able to go through it. The state requires that I document all that. This is a great way for me to be able to document at the same time and provide information for all of you guys. They might have a question that other people are thinking about, but they're kind of too timid to put it out there. So that's kind of the thought on that. Does that help out a little bit, or?
Well, I'm just thinking that if there's an ongoing degradation related to a neighboring community's use of their shoreline, how much are people in our community on the hook for having to do mitigation for a problem caused by a neighboring community? And is that playing into things at all?
So I don't think that right now, I think Colin would probably answer it better than I could.
I mean, clearly the marina has an impact on how sediment flows along the shoreline, no doubt. But you're dealing with those existing conditions. The marina's been in there prior to the Shoreline Management Act. It's been there a long time. You're kind of dealing with this. This is what you have now. The way the shoreline works was changed back in the 60s when that was built. So you have a different sort of starting point after that. And we've had that same sort of, the shoreline has sort of been slowly evolving since that as far as reacting to that impact. And it will keep sort of evolving over time. Things may have changed. Certain areas might have been less likely to erode historically, but now more likely because that area no longer supplies sediment to the beach. But that's been the case for the last 50 years. So it's not something new, and there's not something that you need to, say, mitigate for, because it's not an impact you created, you, the city, or a single resident within the city.
Well, I'm just thinking that if it's an ongoing problem that may actually be worse 10 or 20 years from now than it is now, then property owners along the affected segments may end up carrying some disproportionate mitigation that they have to do because of a problem that's worsening with time related to a neighboring community. And I'm just wondering if that's being taken into account with our process here.
I think I would recommend that you comment on their shoreline master plan.
Okay.
So Des Moines was one of the first communities, and I think are they finally done? Okay, so because there's a lot of stuff that the state, because they hadn't done it in a long time and there's a lot going on, they were one of the first communities that started it back in 2003, and they are not done yet. Because a lot of this process that we're going through was very rudimentary, wasn't sure how it was going to take place, and there was a lot of issues in terms of dealing with no net loss, and then thinking about, like Burien had problems with the idea of non-conforming use. The state didn't have a very good definition for it, and it didn't give people a very good sense that if something happened to their home, that they'd be able to replace it even though they're within a buffer. So the state, that held Burien up. But the state recognized that. They're pulling that problems or the red flags out of each jurisdiction that finds something that comes up or a problem or an issue, and they're trying to solve that so the rest of our communities can benefit by not going down that same thing or being able to understand it better. I feel really bad for Des Moines because they've experienced a lot of that problem. They've been a huge, they've been out in front for the whole time. So, yes, sir.
Chad, you mentioned that the process is really going to be to update the existing Shoreline Management Act, and there's obviously some document in place now. What percentage of that document do you really think is going to need to be changed due to
What the state
last
requires?
20 years. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Is it like 90% of it or 2% of it?
It's,
or-
you know, so I'm using all the current, or all of the current objectives to drive it. I don't see a big change. I haven't heard where we're changing from a single family residential community. I haven't heard any change where we have recreational opportunities with like a public park and a private park. I don't see any changes in that, and so everything I'm crafting, the objectives will need to change in terms of format only. I'm taking the language exactly as it exists now and putting it in just to a different format. That's all I'll be doing. Whenever I need to change it, like I said, whenever I need to change it because of a use that we've identified that maybe wasn't there 20 years ago, or you know, if I have to massage anything, I notify you guys and let you know I'm doing it, and I'm going to ask for your input. What do you think?
I'm
So
hearing
maybe
you say it's about like
there's
10%
so
change or 5%
well,
change.
I would say
What's
you've
there?
got your restoration plan was something that was not part of your original SMP. You have your impact analysis, or the cumulative impact analysis. I don't believe that was done in the last one. So those are two new items that are going in there that are kind of large,
No net loss.
and no net loss. That's pretty much it.
So wouldn't those be the most important things for this group to review? Is the
Exactly, exactly. And that's the part where I would like the second part. The thing I heard from most people, because I've been trying to get you guys together for over a year in terms of getting enough people to help me out. I think I had 3 for like the first 5 months. I had the Steels and I had Charlie Harris, and that was it. And I was begging, I was like, can you ask anybody you know? And I was constantly asking people. And so what I would like to do, and everybody basically said, it's like, well, there's a lot of time commitments. I can't really, make it all the time. And other planners in other jurisdictions said, if you draw it out for too long, or you make people have too many meetings throughout a process, what happens is you guys start falling off like flies, and I got new people coming in. We have to re-educate every time we come in, and you lose momentum, and it's hard. So,
congratulations for figuring out a way to get everybody here.
well, I know, this is pretty good. This is an amazing turnout, you guys. Most communities, this is a dream for a planner. Whether you like the SMP idea or you don't. No. I mean, no. For as a planner, I want to know if people don't like it, that's okay. This is the time that people get the chance to say, I really don't like it. It might not change things the way they want to, or the people that do like it that think it should do even more. Everybody's not always going to get what they want, but this is your opportunity. Once every 20 years, how can you not want to be part of it? So, like I said, I really appreciate everybody here, and I think the main impact for this group is going to be commenting on anything I send to you guys. I need tonight to go through these simple exercises to kind of just give me really good direction. It's not a whole lot different from what we already have. And then when we get into the cumulative impacts and the restoration plan, we're going to pull you guys out again for 1, possibly 2. I think it should only be 1, but there might be 2. And basically go through those items at that time, because those are going to be things that are important to all of you guys. It's going to be sharing with you, like, okay, remember those uses that we came up with? These are the impacts that we identified, and these are the impacts. This is how we identified it, and this is what we think. What do you guys think? And then come up with our restoration plan. Same thing. These are our restoration opportunities. Do you guys agree with them? Do you not? What do you guys think? Do you know of other restoration opportunities? Perhaps the coast got something going on where, oh yeah, Chad, we're gonna really work on Miller Creek this year, this portion of it as it's coming in. And we'd like to make sure that in the next 20 years you include that, so that when you're doing that work, we, as a community, the whole community maybe gets to benefit from something like that, because we've called that out in the restoration plan. Mrs. Steele might benefit from that. You never know, depending on how it all plays out. I'm just saying that everybody could be related. Everybody could benefit based on what happens here tonight. The Beaconsfield properties and stuff that are out there, that could benefit the entire community depending on what ones they have. It could, you just never know.
what do you say? Tell us what you want us to do.
Okay,
Well, I
so
have a
next,
question.
okay,
I have my
okay, go ahead, I'm sorry,
I have a couple of questions.
Okay,
First off, who approves this document once we get done with it?
okay, so what'll happen is that we're going to go ahead and I'm gonna go back and forth with you guys until I come up with a really good draft, okay? Then what happens is that draft, it'll be polished up and it goes to the planning commission and we have to have a public meeting on that. Okay, the planning commission will dissect it, they'll ask questions, and basically the information that you've given to me, I take to the planning commission, the community has given the input, this is what they've come up with, and this is our plan. They will ask questions, you know, it could be anything really, and we take public comments. So if you guys might be in the minority or something doesn't play out the way you really think it should, your public, not just the comments that I'm going to be accepting from you guys constantly, but this public hearing is another big item. That's your guys' shot as an individual property owner, not as a technical advisory committee member, just you, you know, and just what, you know, this is where you can just be very selfish and go out and go, this is important to me and this is important and I want this heard, and technical advisory committee, they outnumber me and you know, this is what happened. Or Chad didn't listen to me because the state's making him do this, or whatever it might be. That's an opportunity to really let everybody know how you feel on that. Okay, planning commission will make a recommendation.
Are you
That-
saying that planning commission, that's a public hearing? Is
Yes.
what you're going?
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll be I was directed by the city mayor on multiple occasions that we would hold one public meeting, and by state law we are required to hold at least one state meeting or one public meeting. So that public meeting will take place with the planning commission once we're ready to go, once we're done. And then once planning commission's like, yeah, this looks great, if they tweak it or whatever, if they have recommendations for tweaks, then it gets sent on to your city council where they give it a vote, they check out the document, and you know, then from there, if it's accepted there, it goes to the state. And the state has a process that they do with review, goes through another comment period, could possibly hold a hearing if the city's unhappy with how things are going. If the state's unhappy with something that we come up with that's out of the norm, they'll shoot it back to us and they'll give us a list. I have to respond back in a certain amount of time, and are we going to address it? No. Oh, shoot it back. And we kind of go back and forth. I don't know if you've paid attention to what's going on in Burien, but that's what's happening with them. They have approved it at the local level, and they sent it to the state, and they are going back and forth because of all the problems that they had because of the way it was formulated.
Is there anybody in this group who is either on the planning commission or on the city council?
Yes.
Or in the?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Who
Pat
are-
Presentine is our current
Oh.
planning commission chair. Doug Osterman is our council member. We have Sean McAvoy, who's our council member. So we do have council and planning commission
Isn't it a
representation.
little hard for them to wear multiple hats? They have to.
Well, you know what? You know what? It's
What?
they're present, but you really need to think of them in terms of like they're property owners and they're residents of Normandy Park in this meeting.
So they,
Think
have,
of-
they,
think of-
do have to change gears. As they
Right,
go.
they're changing gears because you know what?
Yeah.
They have Mr. Osterman has
30.
yeah.
That's what-
Well, he has ideas. You know, Mr. Presentine. You know, they're all stakeholders in our Puget
I
Sound.
wish during the introductions, rather than just use our names,
Yeah.
you could have asked us to say who we were.
Okay.
I happen to know Bill here. but
Okay.
I don't know a lot of the other people.
Okay. Well, this is. I
I'm
guess
sorry,
this-
I know I
That's
should.
all right.
I've lived here 40 years,
Okay.
but I don't know these people.
Okay. Well, we can do that. I've also. Everybody is a technical advisory committee member. It's part of
Yeah.
public record, and I have put you guys up on the list so that people can identify who are members. And
Are
your
all
phone
of us
numbers.
here? Are all of us here?
We are only missing Janice.
Randall Parsons broke his leg, he's not here.
Yeah.
Sean McAvoy's, Clark Brandt is actually on the committee, he's a council member. Sean is in his place today. Charlie Harris is out of the country, and then Hadley Comaris, who Gretchen is sitting in for. So pretty much everybody, maybe
I
3.
thought Gary York was a member too.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Well, no, Gary was given your extra copy, but Gary has refused to fill out the paperwork and show up.
Well, he's in Texas, he can't come.
I know, but he never even actually called and talked to me to fill out saying that he was even interested, and so I don't want to sign someone up.
Doug, did Gary call you?
No.
He didn't.
No. So
I know he wants to be on the committee.
the thing is that a committee should be about 10, 15 people. Okay, so we're at capacity right now, and I think we've got great participation. I'm still going to include him and stuff, but I want to move forward. You know, I know Mr. Harris is out of the country, but I know that there's people here that know him, and he's being sent everything. The Hadleys have been sent everything. They've got somebody here. And so after tonight, there's going to be other additional information I'm going to be sending to them. I'm going to be contacting them to let them know that what Doug is filming tonight should be online, right, Doug? On a YouTube?
We're gonna try to get it up there, yeah.
Yeah, so we're trying to enter the 21st century here. So, we're trying to get as much participation as possible, but I gotta move forward and keep going. I'd love to include everybody, but I think this is a pretty good representative. This group's pretty good.
Thank you. In your spare time, could you send us a list of who all the others are? So we
Oh,
can look
so
at
you
them.
don't have computer access?
I do, yeah, but
Okay.
I've never seen the list of names.
Oh, okay, because it's on there.
Have you?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, it's okay. Well,
Where is
I'll
it?
go ahead.
Tell
What's that?
tell me where it is.
So everything that we do, I'm required to document.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be found on the Shoreline Master Program webpage on the city site.
Including all of our names.
But you don't.
Yeah, including your name.
Names are there.
So,
You don't have the city up, you have the.
oh, it's not the city. So anyway, when you go to the city website, underneath, I believe it's city projects. It's going to be on the left-hand column. You're going to pop it up, and it'll be the Shoreline Master Program update. And once you get in there, go to town. Everything will be there. I try to get as much stuff
Great.
there.
No, mine-
Somehow we keep getting bumped from the front page, so I've asked to be on the front page multiple times. We have a limited budget for our website, and so the hosting site that we've got, and that's kind of what we've got. If you have problems, call me. I can get you there. Collins Sisters. Do you ladies have computer
I don't know
access?
what I'm doing.
No. So I can always send you written. I'll try to send you
I don't know why I went
everything.
to cuffing.
Okay, and if you need anything, just give me a call. I have no problems. So either call me or email me if you have problems getting on the site or finding something.
So chat.
If something's not showing up, just let me know.
So-
Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, so city projects, it's on the left-hand side, it's highlighted in black. When you double click on that, that's gonna take you to our Shoreline Master Program page.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you have your,
Chad, on the homepage, you could put the YouTube trailer.
I don't know if I don't know if our website will allow us to do that. We'll try to at least get a link on the front page.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
if we're coming up to the
So I guess I don't think
sorry.
I fully got an answer to my question.
Okay,
I asked who approves this plan when we get it done. I
Okay.
don't actually see that on here.
okay, because we basically, the council will approve your plan, the local plan. Then it goes to the state, and the Department of Ecology has final authority over it.
Right,
Okay.
but I don't actually see the city council step in here for
Oh,
approving it
okay.
before it goes
Okay,
out
let
the
me
door.
look here. Let me look
And
here.
the reason I'm asking about this is I watched the inventory and characterization report go straight from the city manager's desk right to the state with no comment, no council vote, no nothing, it just went.
Because it doesn't require a vote, and it doesn't require council action. It's just, and what it is a technical document. That's what it is.
But it's not
And
accurate.
it was out for over a year, and it was on the website. I introduced it at the planning commission. The whole community was asked multiple times, like, did you see it? Did you get a copy of it?
Did all the
Can I
council
get
members,
comments?
were all the council members aware that that went to the state for approval? I know some that weren't, so
I mean,
that's a leading
I don't
question.
know. I mean, they should know that I'm trying to do my job. I'm trying to get everything done and approved. I mean, it's one of those things where when it gets done, I'm like, we got state approval. I let the city manager know, and I'm good to go. So
I guess we just want to be sure that this goes
yeah,
through that
I didn't
approval
realize it
process.
doesn't. So it doesn't specifically say. So down here, let's say conduct public hearings. So this is what they've done here at the state is they try to do this. It's a generic flow chart that most communities are trying to meet. So when you get down into conduct public hearings, that's our planning commission.
The second box,
What's that?
the second box to the.
Review inventory and analysis?
No, local government approves.
Oh, okay, local government approves, there it is. Okay, so then that's your council right there.
Is that a public hearing for city council as well as planning commission?
Doug will have to answer that. I don't think it is.
No. But it will be in a public meeting, and typically in a public meeting, the council.
Is it a consent agenda type item, or is it?
I don't envision that being a consent agenda item. I think the council will want to discuss it, and we've got council members here, they can speak for themselves. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but typically the council during the regular public meetings allows public comment.
Thank you.
And one more question.
Okay.
How much change can the city council or city council members make to this before it leaves the door?
That I don't know. Pat, do you have any experience with other jurisdictions at the city council, like?
I have not had experience with that. The city council obviously is the final hearing body for the local jurisdiction, so if they have issues with the plan, I'm assuming that they would probably ask that portions of it, whatever they have issues with, would be looked at again and send it back to the planning commission for further analysis and public input.
So go back to the planning commission then, not necessarily this committee.
Right.
Well, then the planning commission would probably look to staff or the technical advisory committee. So basically we'd go back down
Back down the chain.
back down the chain. So, there's one jurisdiction I know of that has been working with the planning commission for a long time, and the planning commission keeps asking for additional information or revisions, and so it's been a repeat to the planning commission. So I'm assuming the same thing would happen at the city council level.
Typically, what our city attorney advises, once the planning commission holds a public hearing, if the changes the council wants to make are significantly different than what the planning commission recommendation was at the time the hearing was held, that the document go back to the planning commission for another public hearing on those changes.
So shouldn't the box that says conduct public hearings be planning commission? That'd be a planning commission public hearing.
Right. This was just a
Yeah,
state flow chart, just
for
so you
clarity,
know.
'cause I think the
So
question's
this
a
is
good
just for a
one.
general idea of how it works.
I think the question's a good one, and we should be clear about it.
Yeah.
To start, so
All right.
I think it should be planning commission conducts public hearings, and then you go through the rest of the flow chart, and when you get to when SMA and guidelines are satisfied, local government approves, that arrow that goes to the right about submitting to ecology, you could say yes, it's approved, it goes to ecology. If it's no, it goes back up to the planning commission conducts public hearing.
That's how it would typically work.
Right, so, I mean, I think, you know, so.
It's a document I
So Lynn
didn't
feels
create.
comfortable about it. I personally would request that you add those to,
I wasn't planning on putting this on our website. This is on the state website.
just for the committee.
That's fine. All right. So through the update, I gotta move on. I don't want to waste your guys' time. You know, I don't want you keeping you here really late. So I think it's the process that you feel more comfortable with that on that. Like who's gonna approve it, and I want to make sure I answer your questions. You got quite a few, so.
Yeah, that answered the questions.
Okay, okay,
And I
okay.
guess the
Well,
only
let's-
other
as they
comment
come
I
up-
would make before we, kind of move ahead here, is it seems like we moved right into the meat of the meeting with comments on specific properties.
I know,
We'll get
it
to
was
all that.
inevitable. I tried, but.
And I kind of missed, just, how many times is this committee gonna meet? When are
Okay.
they gonna meet? All of the kind of logistics,
Okay.
of this
Okay.
whole thing.
Okay, yeah, like I said, it all kind of got blown out of the water there, but, so meetings, we're looking at 2 right now, with the option of a 3rd. The next 2 are unpredictable because we won't know until we finish the cumulative impacts and the restoration plan. That's farther down the road. More importantly is gonna be, I've put down a date as, I believe it's March, was the date that we talked about taking it to the planning commission just to give them as an update.
Yeah, the March Planning Commission, and then the fourth Tuesday of the month for a
for
council
council.
study session.
So what my goal is that by that first week of March, second week of March for planning commission and council is to give like a general update of our progress from here tonight, and then where I've gotten in terms of drafting the stuff and the comments that I'm receiving back from you guys on the documents that I start sending out, and just updating as we go.
That seems extremely aggressive given the complexity of all of
Yes,
these documents.
it is.
And we're
It
just
is.
getting started, and originally it was my understanding that this team would have had 18 months to do this.
No, that's incorrect.
Okay.
I have 18 months to write the document. I need to use this body as giving me input on just what I called out for the uses and